Anchorman, the comedy that should have collapsed, but didn't.
Motorcycle on the bridge. I hit him with a burrito.
Ron.
He took him with his foot.
The Legend of Ron Burgundy. There was a time when the most powerful man in media was just a guy with great hair and absolutely no idea what he was talking about.
Apparently, he wasn't too happy with his color prints.
No research team, no fact-checking, no consequences, just confidence and a voice that made nonsense sound official. And somehow that guy was trusted to tell the world what was happening. Welcome to Anchorman, the only movie brave enough to ask, what if the news was run by people who shouldn't be trusted to run even a group chat? Section 1, the movie before the movie. Ron Burgundy did not start as Ron Burgundy. The roots of Anchorman go back to an earlier Farrell McKay script called August Blowout, which Farrell described as Glengarry Glen Ross meets a car dealership. The actual spark for the 1970s news angle came when Farrell watched a documentary about pioneering anchor Jessica Savage.
Can I have a rehearsal? I don't know what else to do here. I mean, I'll rehearse, and can somebody tell me how close it came to 42 seconds if it's in the ballpark?
And he was struck by her former co-anchor Mort Krim, whose smooth baritone and casual admission of sexism gave them the tonal blueprint for Ron.
Thank you, Bob.
It's Mort, but...
Mort, yes.
That means Ron Burgundy is not just a generic sexist 70s guy. He's built from a very specific, real broadcasting energy. So yeah, Ron Burgundy isn't just a joke. He is a very specific kind of guy that somehow got promoted.
I'm very important. I have many leather-bound books, and my apartment smells of rich mahogany.
It gets stranger. An early Anchorman draft was basically a disaster survival movie. Farrell and McKay have talked about versions involving a plane crash in the mountains, stranded news people, and even an orangutan with throwing stars. That is not me doing a joke. That was a real phase of development. The movie you know is what happened after they looked at all that insanity and decided to just simplify things down to, what if dumb men ran the news? Which honestly is more believable than fantasy.
Brick, are you just looking at things in the office and saying that you love them?
I love lamp.
Do you really love the lamp, or are you just saying it because you saw it?
I love lamp. I love lamp.
They removed the throwing star orangutans, and somehow this movie still feels dangerous. The set was a comedy war zone. One of the deepest cuts that really changes how you view the film. Anchorman was effectively written 3 times. Once on page, once on set, and once in edit. Paul Rudd described McKay's process as shooting the script and then immediately starting to mess around, with McKay yelling out rewrites in real time. Camera operators had to learn the cast's behavioral tics because scenes could run for minutes and nobody knew exactly where a performer would go next. That means the movie's looseness is not accidental. It's engineered chaos. This wasn't a script. This was a live experiment with cameras rolling.
My motto's always been, when it's right my way. I'm so sorry. No, it's okay.
The cast was also quietly panicking. According to set history, Koechner, Rudd, and Carroll all went home after the first week and told their wives essentially the same thing. Everyone else in this movie is funnier than I am, and I may be drowning. Then they came back Monday and realized they were all having the same existential comedy crisis. That's incredible because what reads on screen as pure confidence was apparently built on a foundation of professional insecurity and fear sweat. So, what you're watching is 5 guys pretending to be confident while internally falling apart.
Brian, I'm gonna be honest with you, that smells like pure gasoline.
They've done studies, you know.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Then, there's Brick Tamland, who was never supposed to become a comedy nuclear device. Carroll came in with fewer lines and more background energy, but he kept detonating scenes.
I'm Brick Tamland. People seem to like me because I am polite and I'm rarely late.
One deleted bit that made the cast laugh hardest involved Brick eating a revolting falafel hot dog with cinnamon and bacon, with coffee grounds dusting his teeth, and the group repeatedly lost the take.
Good one.
That's a great example of how Anchorman found its best moments, not by sharpening the script, but by letting weirdness mutate in the room. They didn't polish the jokes, they let them evolve. The movie that shouldn't have survived. The news team battle was also much closer to being cut than people realize. Studio executives reportedly didn't see the point of it and wanted it gone. Judd Apatow pushed McKay and Farrell to go bigger, and they ended up shooting the sequence in a compressed, insane burst with dozens of setups in a single day. With stunt choreography, props, and stacked cameos, Adam McKay later said that day was one of the craziest he's ever had on a set. So one of the most iconic comedy scenes of the 2000s only exists because somebody ignored the note to be reasonable. And that's the moral of the movie. Ignore good advice. And the weapon choices in that fight were not random. The prop master laid out a pile of absurd modern and medieval weapons, and people chose whatever it felt that would fit their character. That tells you everything. The joke isn't just written, it's discovered in the moment. Another really great deep cut, the party house where Ron first sees Victoria was chosen because it was a genuine 1970s holdover. Shag carpeting and globe lights. Another location they considered actually belonged to Ray Charles, and it had a piano-shaped pool, which feels like a missed opportunity for the most aggressive party scene ever filmed. Now, the milk scene is even worse than it looks. Farrell picked the milk carton himself, and after multiple takes in the heat, it started going bad. So, when he says milk was a bad choice, that wasn't acting, that was just a real-time discovery.
So damn hot. Milk was a bad choice.
The biggest secret of all might be this. Wake Up Ron Burgundy isn't just deleted scenes. It's a full alternate movie built from the overflow footage, with its own storyline. That is insane. Most comedies struggle to make one movie. This one had enough extra material to accidentally make a whole nother film. Here's the smartest part hiding under all of this stupidity. The joke about Ron explaining diversity like it's an old wooden ship from the Civil War era literally works because it's rooted in reality. The character isn't just dumb, he's the product of a real era where men could be confidently wrong and still be treated like the authority.
What in the hell's diversity?
Well, I could be wrong, but I believe diversity is an old wooden ship that was used during the Civil War era.
That's why this joke hits, because underneath the stupidity, there is some truth. This movie doesn't reward rewatching, just demands it. And I am proud to say that on today's show, we have champ himself, David Koechner. Or would you rather me call you Todd Packer?
Hey gang, speaking with Jake from Pop Pills. Pop culture pills, that is. Don't pop pills, but please pop into some pop culture.
What did it feel like? Was this controlled chaos, or was it genuinely you guys just figuring it out in real time?
We're professionals. Comedy is controlled chaos in a way. And so, yeah, dude, we're playing, man. We're having a great time.
How much of Champ was actually written, and how much did you get to discover on set?
Best script I'd ever read to this day in my life was Anchorman. Now, my buddy Adam McKay would let us improvise every scene. after we had shot what was written. So we would shoot what was on the page first 3 times. Then he'd say, let's let the squirrel out of the bag, and then we'd go to town.
Did this movie feel competitive at all? Like, was everyone always trying to outdo each other?
Comedically, no. It felt like an ensemble, and everyone was supporting each other and listening, and it was an amazing experience. I guess sometimes you'll hear more along the lines in dramas where actors get competitive. Ego is the enemy, right? So don't have an ego about it. Let's all work together.
Was there a moment where you realized this movie was either going to bomb or be quoted forever?
I thought it was going to be the greatest thing I ever participated in, and it was.
Why do you think this movie stuck the way it did? What are you up to now, man? Tell us where to find you.
Because it's a very dense movie in that there's always more and more to discover. Now, this movie is actually a satire. People think it's just a dumb movie. No, the characters are stupid because we're making fun of them. That's satire. We're making fun of the sexism and the casual, refusal to recognize the damage to the environment, the sexism, all of that stuff. So that's why I think it stuck with people the way it did. And you're always discovering new lines that perhaps you had missed before. And I think all the characters are so richly written, and God, they're performed marvelously. To work on that show with friends, because I'd known Adam McKay for a very long time. I'd known Will for years. I'd known Steve for years. So when you get to work with your buddies at such a high level, man, that was my favorite part of the movie. Look at my IMDb. It's full. Katrina, what's my handle? At David Koechner for Instagram, right? Same for TikTok. And just David Koechner. Look that up. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Whammy!
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. Obviously, awesome human being. Everything from The Office to Anchorman and everything in between. Check out David. And who knows, maybe we'll see you on the next one. All right, final verdict. Anchorman shouldn't work. It's chaotic. It's messy. Barely holds together. Somehow that's exactly why it does. Because it doesn't aim for perfection. It aims to be unforgettable. Side effects! Viewing Anchorman may cause choosing milk even though you know it's going to be a bad choice, going into any fight with a trident, believing that diversity is an old wooden ship, probably from the Civil War era, and thinking you're Ron Burgundy. You're not. You're Brick. Pop pills! Your prescription for pop culture.